every time I have a client who says, "Man, everyone's got a podcast now."
Yeah.
My response is, "Guess what?
Yeah.
We here at Rocky Mountain Tattoo have a podcast."
Well, count us in, everyone.
Yeah, we
That's
are.
it.
Why
Everyone.
wouldn't we have a podcast?
Do you, like, if anybody comes and asks you, then they're like, "Oh man, I think I feel like I should start a podcast." Do you tell them no, you shouldn't? 'Cause
No, I tell them
I've
do
started
it.
doing it.
Yeah.
No, this is a great exercise.
People don't understand.
For yourself.
But people don't understand.
People don't understand.
Like, it's not going to get views. Like,
Forever.
Yeah.
No, obviously.
Well, ours are like kind of in a weird state.
Yeah.
Where they're like.
But this is what we talked about
kind
this well before we started this, which was like, you got to have at least a year into it before anybody's going to care, if at any point, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I always tell people is just like, you got to be willing to put in a lot of time and have almost no one watch it.
Yeah.
Because
I think a sign of a good podcast, or one of the positive signs of ours, is that if we were to cancel a podcast for some reason or have to stop doing it,
There'd be some
I feel
upset
like
people.
no, I feel like we would only a couple.
If a bear shits in the woods and no one's around.
yeah, but it's weird. It's cool
Hey,
still
did
that
you know
some
the
people
Remy
would be
Show
annoyed.
wasn't
but I
on this week?
Yeah.
I
Said
feel
no
like
one
instead
no one, yeah.
we'd meet up for coffee once a week.
Yeah.
I feel like if we stopped
yeah.
the podcast, we'd be like, well, I'm missing something now. We're
Yeah,
good
we
for tea,
created
right?
a running narrative.
Yeah.
It's like you used to go out for coffee with your friends.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, I wonder what so-and-so's up to.
I'm way more of a conversationalist now. I'll say that.
Oh, yeah?
Like
I've always been.
but like I've noticed that a lot of people are not,
No, God, no.
and
Well-
they have a hard time with it.
What really separates the two camps here is when you ask them, "Hey, you should come like hang out on our podcast and talk sometime."
And they go,
And
"Oh,
most
no."
people are like, "Oh, I could never do that."
Yeah.
And
Well,
the thoughts never cross my mind.
Here's
It's
what
the
I
easiest
thought.
thing in the world.
Yeah.
I always thought, like, we got 10 episodes. I got at least 10 good episodes. And after that, I don't know what's up.
Yeah.
Because, like, I had enough good stories that I could tell that I feel like I could fill an hour with each
Yeah.
week.
Well, you didn't understand how many jobs Scott would have.
Well, yeah, I never could have imagined how many jobs he's had.
Well, and no one can.
And then it gets more derivative, but not in a bad way.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like you tunnel in on things, and then you open up new doors. But
Tunnel in on things like last week when we had
Oh,
the
yeah.
worst podcast ever.
Yeah, that was
that
not-
might have been worse than the 2.5-hour Nightman podcast
Yeah.
in December.
It was.
Yes, it openly
It
was.
was.
Yep.
That whole morning ruined my day.
Yeah,
I was like, F- this day, man.
I
Yeah,
don't
that
feel
wasn't a
bad
good
about
time.
myself.
Yeah. It
Yeah, it
not
wasn't
fun.
a good time. And I haven't
Don't worry,
watched
YouTube's
it.
going to hate it too.
All I did was,
Probably.
that'll take us down a peg or two.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wonder if we get a strike.
We probably should.
A strike.
Should we?
We
Yeah.
probably
No.
should.
A YouTube strike?
We didn't actually go into the red there.
Oh man, I don't know.
I
We
think
talked
you're
about-
living in the red.
It was just boring.
we danced
and
around a lot of
convoluted.
red, let's say
Yeah,
that.
we danced around a lot of red.
Yeah,
tiptoed.
it was a lot of controversial subjects.
Isn't that weird though?
Shouldn't be.
Isn't that just the weirdest thing? Like we've just accepted that is a thing.
Well, that's coddling of our American mind, right? What is that book called? Coddling of the...
American mind probably.
I think
it sounds close.
Something's wrong with that line. There's
something I'm
maybe it's
getting
the
wrong.
coddling of the.
You think the is the issue?
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe.
Cool.
No, it's
No, you're
it's all
right.
about how we've dumped people down
Yeah.
and we're bubble wrapping everything,
Yeah.
and now no one can hear anything.
You should never
controversial.
hear
Oh, isn't it
things
like
you
the
don't like.
infantilization of the American mind or
I don't
something
know
like
what
that?
it is.
That would be way
No,
less.
I think it was the
popular
coddling
title.
of the American mind.
Yeah, that's a better title than what I said.
I haven't read it, but I listened to a lot of podcasts with the guy who read it.
Oh, okay.
I'm intentionally
Wrote it?
not reading it.
the guy who read it. There's a guy who read it. He has a series of podcasts about it.
I swear to
this
God,
book.
somebody got through this.
There's
thing.
one guy.
600
I read it.
pages, and it's really hard to get through.
Yeah, because he was coddled the whole time.
Yeah.
We're too
One of my
coddled to read a
favorite
600-page
jokes
book.
is always like assuming everyone had an autobiography. How long would it be? Like, like I always joked with my buddy Vince. It would be the life and times of Vince, and it's like 30 pages long.
Yeah.
And the last few pages are just angry ranting and like a grocery list.
I like
And
that.
this is why we don't have autobiographies, because much like I said, I think I have 10 good episodes in me.
Yeah.
The rest of it, no one probably ever needs to hear.
Well, I mean, you don't know what people will find interesting, though.
No, I know.
That's the weirdest part about everything. It's like the things that we see are mundane. Are like people go, what? Really? Like
Yeah.
the job thing. I mean, for Scott, it's like, whatever, I had some jobs.
Yeah,
but for
yeah.
us, it's like, this is hilarious.
This is comic
they,
gold.
They were actually a small number of jobs with a small number of companies working on a
no,
large
don't walk
number
it
of
back
tasks.
now. We're
Yeah, I was
making
about to
shirts
say.
off this.
Yeah.
We're talking about
Yeah, we got
birthday-
shirt plans, so
We're talking
just-
about making a shirt that's the Remy Show, and on the back, boy, Scott's had a lot of jobs.
and then just a running list. And then
Yeah.
every year we can do a new run of T-shirts, and it just gets longer down the back.
But then Scott's gonna feel pressure to perform, where he'll be taking like side jobs
Yeah, he just does.
to add
Yeah.
to the list. I can't let this dry
We'll
out.
just see him in random places on his
Yeah.
off hours doing new jobs.
Scott's bagging groceries one day. What the hell?
Okay, well, let me tell you about
was
the
gonna
2
say,
weeks I spent planting
bagging groceries.
cranberries.
Oh, planting cranberries?
Yeah, so I got it. So I was probably 15 at the time. I got a seasonal
Ooh,
job.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Okay, I know nothing about cranberries.
Yeah,
How
I
do you
didn't
plant,
either.
How do you plant cranberries?
So, cranberries grow in a bog, which means you got these big berms or in these giant, like, 8-acre fields.
Who decided
They-
to eat cranberries?
You don't eat them, you drink them.
Well, you can eat them, can't you?
They're a
Cranberry
brilliant
sauce?
source of vitamin C.
Okay.
So, planting cranberries is a pretty miserable task because
Yeah.
it's done early enough in the spring that you're freezing to death and you're knee deep in swampy, gross water shit, in barefoot, pulling like. So the tractor runs along and just dumps piles of like basically cranberry branches
Yeah.
all over the place, and you got to go around, literally just spreading them out, like kind of feed the pigeons style. You're just kind of like spreading these vines out, and then a disker comes along and kind of like cuts them and puts them into the ground. So you're just literally spreading bushes all day, back-breaking work in like 6 degrees.
For cranberries.
Yep,
I mean, I
and
get
a lot
it.
of
That
work.
you, like, what else do you do with a bog?
And
But
then,
like,
and then they
ugh.
slowly fill, and then like
Wow.
they close off the edge of the berm, and then fill that thing with water, and then they just grow.
Like when we were young, back in Nova Scotia, we would go help my grandfather pick apples.
Yeah.
Horrible. Like horrible. It sounds. I picked apples. No.
I'm not a fan of agricultural labor.
No.
I don't
Picked
think anybody
apples
is.
means grabbing rotten apples off the ground,
Oh.
putting them in a bin, getting decent apples sometimes, putting them in a separate bin, and then getting half mangled apples and putting those in a third bin. And the good apples are worth more. So there's even competition among the ranks too. Where there's other guys out there, like tall guys had an advantage, my grandfather told me. Like he
That's
would do
insane.
he would do it on stilts if he could, he told me, because he was a short guy. But he would get us to go up on his shoulders and get the tall
Yeah.
the apples that were still hanging. But it was like back-breaking labor for no money.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
most
here's your
labor.
25 cents for a full bin of rotten apples.
Well,
That's going to be your apple pie tonight, by the way.
Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
love it.
It's so ridiculous.
the value that we place on jobs is kind of backwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the things that keep you alive, we should probably be a little bit more
You
invested
say
in.
that, but the cranberry bog paid $8 an hour, which
Back
when I was
then, that's a
15
lot.
was a fortune.
Yeah.
That was double minimum
Yeah.
wage.
Well, we
Yeah,
were always
those-
happy because at the end of it, he would buy us a chocolate bar or something. So, like, it's amazing when you don't have many things. When you get a thing, it's like, oh, look at this thing.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I
way
could buy
more
a schwack of
kids.
chocolate bars and I wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Way more kids need to spend the odd 12-hour day picking rotten apples. Like,
Now,
I
there's
don't,
labor laws now.
I've met some kids these days. Way more kids should have 12 hours.
You know
of
the
doing
irony-
Yeah, my
really
son wouldn't
crappy
do
labor.
it.
You
Like,
know,
I
the
can't
irony
imagine.
is that there are kids spending 12 hours doing manual labor in Minecraft.
I didn't mean slaves. Oh, okay.
I didn't mean
I've met child laborers.
Oh, I didn't mean
overseas.
that. No,
Oh, yeah,
I
no.
just meant in North America, they're so privileged that they do
mean,
manual labor for hours on end in a game.
There
Yeah.
are lots of children who have 12-hour a day jobs.
Oh,
different,
yes.
though. It's shiny and everything looks better than it does in real life.
Looks worse. It's blocks.
Well, it's blocks, but it's blocks that you like, right? Nobody likes rotten apples, Kevin.
Well,
Nobody likes them. They think
tell that to the birds
wow.
or
We're
to the
not
soil.
birds.
Would you call a bird to somebody?
Yeah.
It depends. Am I
But-
vegan? Who knows?
This will all link
mean,
cleverly back into
Everyone here and listening knows whether or not you're vegan.
Yeah, I know.
But
I'm very much
links
not.
cleverly
10 days
back
into the
into
carnivore diet.
the root of all
12,
things.
thank you.
This is another one of those conversations that would be in an autobiography that no one wants to read.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
When I was 6, I spent time picking rotten apples with my grandpa.
Yeah.
Like, this is the shit that makes up a human's life.
Well,
It's a
yeah.
square.
And builds grit.
But it
Grit.
always makes me think, like, whenever somebody's getting particularly interested in a human being, like almost like a cult-like figure.
Yep.
Like, I have this big following. I have a lot of people who are like, "You're my inspiration." All this stuff. People
For
draw
what?
me.
Tattoos?
Who knows?
Life?
I get it all the time. I could show you like 15 of them within the last 10 hours. I get them all the time. And I'm like, really? Because this is what my life has been made of. Picking rotten apples.
Well, just
you
like
know?
that Spanish article where they're basically being like, it's crazy this guy can be a dad and be on his third bodysuit. Whoa.
Yeah, I
can
know.
read it?
Yeah.
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 Oh, I couldn't understand what he was saying.
I wish
yeah,
there was
read it.
English subtitles, but I have an idea of what was said.
I mean, I could translate for you, probably.
Really? You speak Spanish that well?
And that's
Well,
Can you
good enough to
teach
get
me?
the idea of an article. Yeah, sure.
that's
Oh,
the
I'd love
second
that.
time
Por qué no?
Renez has done,
Oh.
or Renee
Siempre
Zizi.
hablarme.
See, that's pretty good.
That's the second time Renee Zizi, I think is how you say his name,
Yeah.
has done a video on me.
Renee
but this one
Zizi.
was far more successful. Even for his standards, like it's blowing up. He normally gets about 200K views in a week.
Yeah.
He's got like 185,000 views in 2 days on
Whoa.
that thing. And it looks as if it's hit some strand where it's just going to keep going up.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, I'm okay with that because
Yeah.
it'll just keep feeding our YouTube.
Yeah.
And it'll keep feeding my Instagram, obviously. I've been on a crazy high. Over 1,200 follows Sunday, 1,300 follows Monday, like
Wow.
850 follows yesterday. Some of that
Your
is
phone
my-
must be tired.
Well,
Your
yeah.
Say
phone's
the joke.
tired.
Damn it.
my following
joke's
was,
funnier this
was
way.
going
I know.
up a couple hundred a day. I
Yeah.
was on a decent wave anyway. But when that starts happening, people start taking note of your page. Like
Yep.
all the tattoo pages are like, oh, Remy's trending. Start posting Remy.
Yeah.
So I'm getting posted all over the place right now. This huge surge of engagement is happening, and where I'm just like, I really didn't want this right now. I was tired already. I don't want to do this right now because this is where opportunity comes knocking all the time, right?
Yeah, of course.
And I've got tired eyes looking at when I wake up after clearing my requests last night. 34 requests come in overnight. You know, it's just like, I don't even want, some of them are products, some of them are like brands wanting to work together. Some people have questions. It's just like,
Man, there's this button in there in the request
Delete
section.
all.
Yeah,
Delete
dude. And that button is gold.
I know.
Like, just pure gold.
But
bloop.
But
I wasn't
Done.
ready for it right now.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I could have taken this. I don't
that's
know.
always when opportunity strikes, though. That's
Yeah.
when you're not ready.
Because like I didn't know. I knew he was working on this video, but like, who knew what it was coming?
Yeah.
And then it just drops suddenly, and it's like, well, here you go. Now
Yeah.
there's memes about me all over the place again, and
That's good.
We should
I
do a
love it.
live stream of you getting tattooed.
yeah. Well, we've done that before, but
have
it's
ya?
been a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if people would be interested in that type of stuff, like even just because like I follow some tattooers that do live tattooing, but like I look at their views and it's like big tattooers and it's like 31 views.
Oh, yeah,
it's
I-
like
I know.
all right.
Live stream.
I did a
isn't
live
what you
stream one
think.
day, and I had 2 to 4 followers most of the time.
Yeah.
It was quite, or viewers.
Well, I wasn't thinking Instagram. I was
quite
thinking YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it looks
They
like.
might be
Instagram.
better on YouTube, but on Instagram, what happens
they were
is
worse.
you start out with a lot, and it instantly dies off.
Yeah. Well, like my favorite tattooers, I just come back and check in on them. Like, because
Yeah.
I just like to see the progress of a piece, but I'm not gonna. I don't have
Sit there
time
and
to sit there and
watch.
Well,
watch
it's,
it.
This.
it's terrible. Like so, like Lee had. I think it was he had you do my phone live stream from my
Yeah.
Instagram
And
while
we
I
were
was getting
answering
tattooed.
questions or whatever, right?
And yeah, it's just the same questions
Yeah.
and people popping in and out. Hi, Remy. Papa. This
Yeah.
person says this thing,
And then
and
they're
I'm
gone.
like, hi.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get tattooed here. Like I don't know. It's live stream isn't great. I think better would be like us having a conversation recorded while I was getting tattooed and then putting that up after.
Oh, we could do that.
I think that's probably better because the live stream is just like some people are creepy as fuck and you don't want to reply to those people.
Okay, here's a pitch.
So like
What if we set up a second camera right here and live stream the podcast while we filmed?
Oh, we could do that.
That'd be pretty
But-
easy.
Well,
It's kind of painless, right?
it's gonna be terrible audio.
Oh,
just
super
be
terrible
echoing,
audio.
loud crackly noise.
Yeah, there's
So we have
there's
a
a way that
second
we could
tripod
do.
stood up right here.
There's a way we could do it to grab a couple of like ambient mics that are close to us, and it would do a little bit better.
but now suddenly we're
then
putting a
you're
bunch of
getting-
extra work in for a very teeny, non.
We're not there yet,
Yeah.
but I think
Yeah.
eventually, like if we got to the size of Renee,
Yeah.
like he would do a live stream and it would be people are there for it.
Yeah.
Hey, people are waiting before his videos go up. They're in a waiting queue for his videos.
Well, I'm just
to get in.
picturing if
Hundreds of
if we had a live
thousands.
stream going here, it'd get people going, oh, weird. Remy Show live stream, click, listen to us for 30 seconds, go back to their scrolling. But that gets them thinking, hey, maybe we'll go back and check it out on YouTube when it comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was kind of interesting to hear them talking about that other podcast, hear them talking about that tattoo thing, hear them talking about whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, we could certainly do that. It's just I could figure out a way to make it work. Let's say that. I would have to do some tomfoolery, but I could probably get it to
There's a
work.
bunch of Bluetooth mics.
No, that's terrible.
See,
Those
they
are
always
terrible.
say that you should like put your best foot forward with this stuff where it's like go all in, really try as hard as you can. I don't think that's the approach. I think the approach is create the content
Yep.
and do it all the time.
Yep.
Like do it continually at a pace that you can manage.
So, I think the further away from relatable something gets, the worse it becomes.
Oh, I agree with that.
Like, one of the things that I think started to kind of hurt Joe Rogan was just the understanding of his finances.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because then all of a sudden it was like everybody knew he's the GOAT. Everybody knew he's making $30 million a
And
year
now
already.
he's the Rock.
Yeah. And it's just one of those, like, it pushes you away from somebody. It makes them less relatable to you, and it makes it so you don't connect with what they're doing as well. That's one of the
And-
reasons that, like, your vlogs, I think, do the best, because it's like, it's just in my house, it's one-on-one, and
Well, in
it's the
that-
most relatable.
Here's the funny thing about my vlogs. I've started getting like I've noticed an irony of it is that people are calling for higher production values in it, but then we have better production values
In the other ones.
in the other ones, and they're not watching those.
Because it's a different thing.
It's like you don't actually want what you're asking me to do.
I think what they probably want is they want clearer video.
Yeah, well,
Which
the
is
video is
understandable.
terrible because it's a dank lit bed like living room,
Dimly lit.
dim,
Dank.
It's dank, whatever the hell it is.
sick.
It's-
It's so dank.
It's
So where are you
terrible.
filming this? Do you have like a
I
root
do it in
cellar
my
in
living
your
I was going to say, in a bog.
Really?
Are you in a cranberry bog?
You're in a cranberry
I'm
bog.
doing it in a bomb shelter under my house.
Yeah. Preparing for the apocalypse with
Yeah.
Remy.
But it's not good. Like
Watch me stack cans.
I have a ring light. I bought another one because Brick basically owns this one
Yes,
now.
yeah.
Which is fine. Obviously, I'm not going to take that from him.
Oh, is that your ring light?
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah, that
Good
came
work.
here once and it's never left.
But I don't care. Like, it's fine
Oh,
to
yeah.
stay here. We're doing all kinds of stuff here.
It's getting to better use anyway.
Yeah.
It's being used on you.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
So I got another one. But even that on its own is not great. I have some soft lights, but the area is just terrible.
Yeah.
It's badly lit, and that's all there is to it. Mm-hmm. Like, my house has terrible lighting. It's track lights. We changed them out, and the lighting's still terrible somehow.
What I've
though we have-
learned from working in this tattoo shop is that if you're taking a picture of a tattoo or any kind of limb, all lighting is bad lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
That's what I've learned recently.
If you were to do it outside in the bright sun, maybe better.
Even that's not working for me these days.
Yeah, I know. It's a pain, man.
Lighting
Yeah.
is particularly complicated when your skin is reflective.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
it.
I have to have a strange combination of factors to get me looking even halfway normal.
Well, you have a considerable amount of carbon in your skin.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's a problem, though, in trying to create a static image,
Yeah.
right? Like, I have to almost imagine what I see in the mirror is what is me. And then when I go to edit a photo, because obviously everybody edits photos, I hope we don't need to go over this, I try to recreate that.
I'm pretty sure Kourtney Kardashian proved that we do not edit
yeah,
photos.
of course.
She's totally...
Yeah,
Natural.
pristine. 100% au naturel.
We got to talk about that a little bit.
Well,
I think that's
we'll get
the
into that
funniest
if
thing.
you like. But I'm
Another
always
picture of the
hunting for.
necklace halfway across.
No, she just... Well, we don't have to get into it right now. I'll bring it back.
Okay.
I'm always trying to turn. We were talking about this the other day. Tattoos have a certain look in real life that you just never get in a picture.
Yep.
And my job is to try and replicate that.
Yes.
Like, try and go, this is what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
It looks like shit in this picture. Let's see what I can do about
Dude,
that.
that's That's my bloody life. I spend all
Well, I know
day.
it better be at
I
this
spend
point.
I
right?
spend all day making a tattoo that I'm just in love with. The client's in love with it, and like there was one day last week where I was like, "Okay, every day I come into work, and I try to make the best tattoo I've ever made." And last week I did it. I did a tattoo that was like, "There, this is incredible. This is a crowning achievement." And the pictures are just crap. I got 50 likes, 50.
Yeah.
Just the worst.
Well, there came a point where it became even less about I want to get a lot of likes and more about like I don't want to discredit Lee or Rick or
Yeah.
anyone. Like I'm showing this off all the time. I don't want to make them look like shit.
Yeah, of course.
Right? That actually happened in my head where it was like, oh, I can't post bad pictures of all these tattoos because it's going to make it look like this guy has no idea what he's doing.
Yep.
All right, especially with my work, it's so consistent. If you put up a bad picture of black work, it looks fucking terrible.
Yes.
Like it looks really bad.
Yeah.
That one glare makes it look like this other spot healed out entirely.
Yeah, exactly.
right?
The
Real
lighting
quick.
can throw the whole thing.
Yeah.
So when I get up and I look in the mirror in the morning and I'm like, oh, that looks good, and then you get a bad picture, you're like, holy shit, am I falling apart? It happens.
And I'm sure there's times where you take a picture and some of the scars from one of your first bodysuits, that little bit of a bump is probably reflecting some light
Yep.
and makes the blackout look inconsistent, right?
Yeah, it does happen, and there are times when the scars are actually raising too.
I'll just show you my new rig.
Oh, yeah,
I
for
got
sure.
it. I got
It
a
should
new
be.
rig for taking pictures of tattoos. You have to play with it some.
Well, it's weird. Like, I have these 2 stars that were here. I still have those 2 stars sometimes.
Yep.
They were solid black, like hard black. They were in there. They were in there. The lines were crisp. After a decade, Rick put those in, and those lines are still there sometimes.
I love it when Rick has to like cover his things because it's like he understands. Like because he and we talked about this once because there was a lady that was coming in looking to get something covered up, and it was done by someone who's good, and we could see it, and we could see it in the skin, and both he and I were like, he's like, this would be like covering up my stuff, and that sounds horrible. Like it just
Yeah.
sounds like a very difficult task. And it was one of those like, yeah, this is the issue with trying to cover up a well done tattoo. It's
That
like,
black is
man,
in there.
No, this one was full color.
Oh,
And it
wow.
was full color with greens and yellows and all
Oh,
the stuff that
no.
I couldn't even
That's-
help laser.
The complication of
Was that
my
the crazy one on her side?
No,
With the
it
huge
was this
cover-up?
floral on her arm. And like the other side was already a cover up done by this guy. And then he had done an addition to make a forearm wrap. And the perspective was like, you know when someone brings you a flower and they're like, tattoo this flower, but it's a flower that's like this big.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they're like, well, you're like, okay, well, now it needs to be huge. So it's a tiny flower done huge, which looks weird because that's not how you're used to seeing it. So it was these like little tiny yellow flowers that were blown up to next week. And they kind of had like a penis-y look.
Oh, cool.
So-
very phallic, were they?
There was a phallic element to them for sure.
You got to squeeze some hidden penises
Well-
and some tattoos sometimes.
And she was just like, "Yeah, I don't know. It didn't turn out the way I wanted it to." And both Rick and I were like, "This guy is a cover-up guy. You could see it. Like he was. I think she said he was 380 an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Wow.
like he was doing good work. And Rick looked at it. He's just like, "I don't know what you want me to do.
yeah.
Like this is gonna be like me covering up me."
That's
Guess
where
you're
you
getting the
show
blackout.
them me.
Yeah.
Have you met Remy?
Have you met Remy?
Well, the funny thing is like with the way that it was done, that yellow would have been
Hard,
like,
very
yeah,
hard.
very
Yeah.
hard.
This is like my bodysuit. My first bodysuit was basically solid color with black and gray elements, and that was really hard to get rid of.
Yeah.
Like really, really hard. But I have heard some absolute hogwash from people. I've heard people that say, "Well, my tattoo artist told me I can't do a blackout because I have color tattoos." I'm like, do you see how punchy my reds were? They were no shade to anyone, but I've never seen anyone with more vibrant reds than me, ever, anywhere. And those were covered. They weren't easy to cover by any stretch of the imagination, but they're black now.
Yeah.
There are times when my arm, my left arm, has like a red shine to it
Yep.
in the sunlight, but I never see the red poking through normally.
Well,
It's weird.
there's
red in there somewhere.
the thing that people forget is like with anything, there's a hierarchy of skill within every industry.
Yep.
And it's just because you're going to a tattooer doesn't mean that they're perfect, doesn't mean that they're the best that's ever been, doesn't mean that they can do the same thing that the other guy can do. Like, everybody in the tattoo industry understands, even if they don't voice it, they understand what they can do and what they can't do.
Yeah.
And too often a tattooer will say, this can't be done because of this. But it's not because of this necessarily, unless it just happens to be that. There are certain things that are going to be impossible.
Less and less we're finding out.
Yeah, we're testing those boundaries. But it's one of those things where it's like, if you're not confident in how the piece is going to turn out because of you, then say that.
Yeah, just be honest, because it's bullshit, and I get a little bit annoyed at those kinds of questions because I get to answer them a lot of the time. I'm not even a tattoo artist, and I'm doing this dirty work of talking to these people that are getting turned away or told nonsense. Another one, a girl was like, oh, well, she had a patchy black arm, and the guy who did it was like, oh, once it's in, it's in. I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
It'll be what it is now. That's not even close to true.
No.
Like, that is in no way true.
You're living
no part
proof.
of that. There's no part of that that's true.
Yeah.
It means you're terrible and you shouldn't have gotten paid for that crap that you did to her arm.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
And you look at it and you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You don't know how you could have done it differently. You have no idea. And then therefore it's like, oh, the limitations on the client at that point? Like, what are you talking about?
It's victim blaming to me. Where
Technically, yeah.
It's like you
They were the victim of your bad
woman's
tattoo.
arm. You should have told her that this was out of your wheelhouse.
Yep.
You didn't do that, and now you're telling her it's impossible for anyone else to fix it.
Yeah.
Not only I won't fix it, no one will fix this
Yeah, this
for
is
you.
what you're cursed with now.
This is your arm for life.
I did it to you, but this is yours.
And probably an air of like, you were stupid for wanting this too, right? Like,
What a dummy.
what a dummy. You wanted a black arm, and now look what you've got, and now no one can help you.
Yeah.
It's like, no, almost any other tattooer in that city could have done better, probably.
Yeah, weirdly
Like,
enough.
because some of those really patchy black arms, I'm like, boy, you didn't really get anything of that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Rick posted one I shared in my story the other day. It's all like chewed up and mangled, and I just love seeing that stuff because it's clearly been fixed.
Yeah.
Wrong
Right.
machines, wrong voltage,
Yeah.
wrong everything.
Depth.
Wrong
So many
needles,
people
wrong
many
depth.
people do those things and they're just dancing in and out of depth.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just a matter of like, okay, some of these areas you actually sat it down right and some of these areas you didn't.
But like I had one person said, my tattoo artist told me that he could do my black arm, but it wouldn't be that dark because it's a cover up. I was like, what is he basing that on? What does
His
he base
years of
that on?
experience blacking out cover-ups of like what
Where
we're
does that
talking
come?
about.
Like, I might hear more of this than is typical because obviously I'm some kind of an icon for Blackout, right?
Well, these are the people that do like pull a line, it's a certain shade, and then they go in with a mag and it's a different shade because they don't understand how to get it close to the same. Because a liner is going to be way more intense.
That said, my first mentor, we'll call him. He
I love the quotations on that.
he openly said, like, his opinion is openly that you have to do several sessions to get anything actually black. Like, that's just straight up, right off the hop, his actual plan. And like sometimes if I'm blacking a large area in a tattoo, I'll run through it quick and be like, next time you're here, we're gonna hit this again real quick.
Lee did that a lot.
Yeah, just because you're gonna be back here in 2 weeks, I don't need to.
I want to make that super dark.
Yeah, I don't need to pound over this over and over again. If there's a couple weak spots, we'll hit it next time, and we're actually gonna save time in the long run.
Yeah.
A little more healing in this area, but it's actually gonna be a better, softer, smoother heal if I pound it in solid black now, but I don't worry about it too much. I come back next time, and those areas that healed into 90% gray,
Yeah,
or there's a little bit of grainy, a little
spot.
bit of, you can see the edge of a mag. No worries. Next time, two passes, 2 little brushes, fixed. Done.
Well, and like you're the guy that's going to be able to see the skin and go like, if I keep hammering this, it's going to heal worse than it does now.
Or just a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Because I've actually been on a roll where nothing's scarred or scabbed in so long
Yeah.
that now I'm like, someone's got to give me some bad feedback about their healing someday. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, that's good though.
Yeah.
That just means you're putting it in.
When I changed machines, there's a couple times where I thought
Yeah,
I
you're
might have
learning your
chewed the skin
toolkit.
up, But I think it's just being paranoid because then, like, I was looking at it, I see that little shiny spot. I'm like, shit, I think I chewed him up. The new machine, I'm not used to it yet. And then I give it an extra wipe, and it's gone. It was just plasma.
This is a problem where I'm coming up against a certain idea here. There's a tattoo page that started to push this. They're called Only the Darkest. They're pretty big, but anyway, they're trying to push this agenda of, like, we need to bring tattoo shops out of the dark a bit, get them, like, daylight, where it's like everybody's got some kind of a code, or like other industries are better regulated.
Yeah,
like
actually, I wouldn't mind that.
Well, I wouldn't mind it either, but, like, I don't know
as long as the governing body isn't ridiculous.
Yeah,
well,
but I don't
it will
know how
be because that's how it works.
Yeah, well,
I don't know how
bureaucracy.
you do it. Because so much stuff is, like, nuance and learning.
Let's unionize.
Little tricks.
Well,
how many little tricks are packed into a 20-year tattoo career?
I don't think it's a matter of
million
like
little tricks.
Yeah.
I don't think the idea is like if you do some sort of governing body.
You
I
don't want to
think
control the
it's,
craftsmanship.
Yeah,
you
'cause
want to
that's like-
control the environment within
Oh,
which
I
the
know.
craftsmanship
The
happens.
environment
It's like
has
trade
changed
school,
a
right?
lot, but
Yeah.
there are still some old divey spots, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, the cockroaches have survived.
Yeah.
But, like, there's almost no way to learn. Like, you can go to tattoo school, right? There is a tattoo school now. It's silly.
Yeah.
I don't recommend going there.
But
I don't either.
this is what I'm saying. It's like, what can they teach you that you can really map on?
So this happened within the recording industry. So it was like recording industry was a master apprentice thing for a long time, and they had different hierarchies, and you could do things over time, and it was you went and you applied for an apprenticeship, and you basically got to be the lackey. You got to clean the bathrooms and get the coffee, and then if you did that well enough for 6 months, they might let you clean up afterwards, and then once you can clean up pretty good, they might let you help set up, and then it's this like you need to be able to perform these baser tasks in the order that we do them. And it wasn't like you have to go pay for that. It's basically just like, you're doing this to get to the place where you're making millions of dollars doing huge records.
Yeah.
And that's the way that it's been done for a very long time. And then all of a sudden, studios start getting hit, and they get like more and more home recording and things like that. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, these big studios are going to make these schools. And these schools are just, you get the same problem that you get with university. You get everyone that can afford it. And just because you can afford something doesn't mean that you have the commitment or the know-how or the toughness or the mindset or any of the things that would make you successful within an art-type life. Because an art-type life is thankless hours. Thankless hours. The amount of hours that you put in outside of your tattooing is insane.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, cool. I just got to draw for the next little while, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
But nobody sees that, and when you're in that field and you go, wait a second, I can't do minimal work for maximum money.
But our payoff work reward system has changed in our culture.
Yeah.
Like now, the times where people would get a job and stay there for 30 years, that's over now. And a lot of people starting their careers in their 20s or wherever are really expecting to hit the ground running, ground zero to hero in 6 months, let's go.
Because that's YouTube or TikTok or any of those things.
Exactly. And it's also the culture changing, like even getting skilled laborers. So drywalling, for example.
Yeah.
That's a classic example. So I've got a friend in town who runs a huge drywalling company. And so I'm always and a bunch of my other friends work for him, like in the office, estimating and running jobs and project managing, all that stuff. So I'm really in tune with the pulse of the drywall industry here in town.
All right.
And I hear lots of stories from that. And
Not surprising.
Yep.
And that's one of the weird
surprising at all.
things. That's one of the weird things that happens here. Not weird things. That's what's changing that industry. Is once upon a time you'd have career guys.
Yeah.
You've got all these career guys that have 15 years experience, 30 years experience, whatever, and they're training the young guys coming up. And the younger guy coming up isn't a pro until he's been in it for 5, 6, 7 years. Mm-hmm. So we're going snowboarding on Saturday, and Buddy's in the truck with me. He gets a phone call from one of his guys. He's basically in this new building, and he's practically lost. Hearing Mike try to explain to this guy what the frick he had to do in that building was just painful. It's clear now that here's a guy who's a year, 2, 3 years into his drywall career, and he's just sent out alone to do tasks because all the long-term guys have kind of screwed off.
Yeah.
And now you're left.
This is what I was saying about
Yeah.
cooks too.
Yeah,
like, a
exactly
couple
like
weeks
that.
ago, where it was like there's just no one around that's been doing it for that long
That's
anymore.
right.
There's like a handful of guys that care about it anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, "Wow, there's no money here. I'm done."
They're gone.
Yeah. So
But I mean, like, I think that does leave room for people that have the inkling for it. Because, like, just doing something for money, I don't know.
But picture this guy who's been doing it for a couple of years now. He's not learning from a 15-year experienced
Yeah.
dude. Suddenly, he's learning on his own, which, as we all know,
Not great.
is the slower way to learn things.
Well,
you
and
can
it's
still get
also-
there.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
all
It just
kinds
takes
of
longer.
weird shortcuts and bad habits develop
That's
that way.
right. And once
You have to
get
learn
enough,
through all of your mistakes.
Once you get enough bad habits, you might never learn that other thing now until someone comes along and slaps your hand.
I've seen it happen so many
Yeah.
times. Like when you let the blind lead the blind, and there's no one knowledgeable around.
Yeah.
What you end up with is not good.
Dude, it's
And
one
then
of those things, like, I would never
creates
want
a
to be...
culture of bad behavior.
Yeah.
And anyone you bring into that environment gets trained these new terrible ways,
Yeah.
and it never roots itself out. You almost have to burn it clean.
So, to bring this back full circle, in tattoo school, do you think that the people teaching tattoo school are successful top-end tattoo artists?
They
well, it
probably
depends.
get
The
one
private
just
ones
to
right
give
now?
them credit.
That's
Yeah.
right. There's
And then
probably
the rest
one
of it's
decent
hacks.
tattoo artist, and the rest of them are people who didn't quite cut it
Yeah.
and now teach instead.
Well, my guess is the curriculum would be built by someone who is a top dog.
Oh, you think that, do you?
Well, like, Nico Hurtado has a school,
okay.
right? So he has the Anchored School or whatever it is. And that they do oil painting, they
Oh,
do
wow.
tattoo theory and composition and technique and all those things. They do
Oh,
they
sweet.
do but I think it's for people that are already tattooers.
Right, right.
To
Then
kind of get
there's-
them a leg up.
Yeah. Then there's a couple states that are doing like certification programs where that's a little bit different. That's more kind of like the rudimentary elements of like how to do
How to not damage someone's...
It's more like
Yeah, all
the APP
the-
kind of thing.
yeah. And I think that's probably where it would lean. I doubt that we'd get to a place where successful artists are coming from a non-apprenticeship based program. I think that there's a little bit too much built into the system of tattooing that is this kind of like you need practical experience. It's not just learning in a school. And a school,
Yeah.
you're not like fake skin teaches you a ton of bad habits. So you
Yeah,
can't
you get
really
to go
just rely
way
on that.
harder and overwork things on
Yeah.
fake skin.
And it's not like being a massage therapist where you're just going to massage all your classmates. Yep, so now you're going to get 30 bad tattoos.
Yeah, exactly. And which, like, that might be an option, but like,
You can't
that's
force...
a terrible idea.
Yeah, you can't force your class of tattoo apprentices
Yeah.
to tattoo each other, because what if they don't all want a bunch of shitty tattoos?
Yeah, or like, I mean, you could say
Sacrificial lambs.
do the same thing that like hair schools do, where it's just like we just give really cheap ones,
Right,
And like,
right.
okay, but that's totally different.
That's now you're pumping
Hair
out a
and
lot
when
of
I'm
Rose.
better in
shitty
5
tattoos.
years,
Yeah.
I'll cover it up for free.
Yeah, jeez. And we offer free laser. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like, well,
Yeah,
okay.
the guy over in the laser studio is cleaning up.
Yeah.
He's just got $sign glasses
yeah,
on,
literally,
just licking his
literally
chops.
right next door.
He's just, ooh, man, look at all this prospective
Yeah.
income.
This is fantastic.
Here's a tattoo school with 30 stations. Here's a laser shop with 40 stations. Let's
Yeah.
go.
I would put if I was a
Just got a bib on.
if I was just doing laser, I know exactly where I would put my laser right beside
Yep.
in this town.
Oh, yeah.
I'd plonk down a laser shop right next
You
door.
probably have a cover-up tattoo store just down the road.
Oh, I would
too.
just say, like, as people are walking in, just come see me after.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
come see me after. We'll talk.
I
Yeah.
mean, that said, you could do that in this town.
just leaving pamphlets.
In a variety
In
of
everybody's
shops.
cars.
In a variety of places, you'd be close enough to a shop like that.
Yeah.
Where you'd be like, hey, when you're done there, come see me, and
We'll
in
talk.
12
Yeah,
months...
we'll talk.
You know, it really
fine,
is like this city is going backwards, not forwards.
Yeah.
Seems it.
Yeah.
It really is. Like they're popping up all over the place. It's
Yeah.
Oh,
insane
man.
how many
Well, but
bad
this is-
shops there are.
This
There's
is
like
the
8 new
issue.
ones in the past year.
I know.
This is going to present that issue, though, of like all of a sudden the people that are inexperienced or not masters yet are branching out and they're doing things on their own, which means that they have no one to compare their game to. They have no one to increase to.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, and there's no one to correct them. There's no one to compare against. There's no one to bounce ideas off of.
Well, and they become spiteful of the others around them,
Yeah.
too, where it's like almost like a... what is the word I'm looking for? It's like a... Like they get like a caveman kind
Chip
of
on
like...
their shoulder.
Yeah,
Sure.
well, it's like everyone else is their enemy.
Yeah.
So I've got an ex-apprentice here in town who opened her own shop, and this is someone who bailed on her apprenticeship. Like she apprenticed for like 3 months and was like couldn't handle it and ran away, kind of thing.
I'm
Like,
wondering who this
literally
is.
we were moving her stuff into the convention, and she took one walk around the convention and left, and then went to the shop and packed up all her things and never spoke to any of us again. And on her, and I sent her a couple messages like, "Hey, don't open your own shop. That's crazy."
Yeah.
And she, so on her actual Instagram is like, proving the people who told me I couldn't do it wrong, or
Oh, I
something
know
like that.
exactly who this is.
Yeah, yeah.
She's
And
had a few apprenticeships.
Yeah, so
that I know of.
So I'm sitting here going, "Oh, honey, I didn't tell you couldn't.
I just said
I
you
said
shouldn't.
you shouldn't."
It's totally different
Very
vernacular.
Yeah, I
different
know
thing.
exactly who you're talking about.
Yep.
But they do. They take on like this weird, it's us against the world, and
Yeah.
everyone sucks but us.
Yeah.
And then from that point,
Or I'm
It's
the
'cause
enemy. From the beginning, I was trying to give her advice.
when you're in that state of mind, no one can give you advice.
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I asked you to mop the floor that one time. It's your job.
Yeah.
Man,
no.
but like I've seen this with a number. That
What
have
is
come
so
through.
wrong with fucking cleaning up? People
God
always complain. I had to
damn it.
clean toilets and
This is
mop
what it-
floors. I have to do that every day of my life.
Well, like for me, when I was managing the other shop, or the guitar store or whatever.
Yeah.
It was one of those like, I knew that since I'm in that position of like everybody else, I'm managing them, right? There was no job that was below me.
No.
I didn't care because there's no job that's below any of them. That's how it is. We are all here. We all have to do this. If some kid puked, oh, okay, I'll go mop it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just go, you minions, do this. It's one of those, like, in any industry, no job within the industry is above you or below you or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And like, this is where I think that people want to just get to the place of success without any of the work.
Well, I've met a staggering amount of cooks over the years that just don't do dishes.
Yeah.
I don't do dishes. Like, I've heard that so many times.
Yeah,
It
even in my
sounds-
own house.
It sounds crazy to say that isolated without being in a
without
kitchen. But, like,
context.
there are so many cooks that will not do dishes.
Yeah.
Like, they're above that work.
Yeah.
Where does this ego come from? And just do the goddamn dishes.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Why are they stacking up back there and you're standing there on your phone?
How about you do this? Branch out, start your own restaurant where you can't afford to pay someone to dishwash and have to do it yourself anyway.
yeah.
It's really bizarre. Like, those sorts of ideas are insane to me.
Yeah.
Grab a mop the floor if it's dirty. What's
Yeah.
the problem here?
But I mean, this is also where people don't understand. I'm big on this in terms of understanding value, right? Like, if you're someone that's coming up and they're resenting what's being presented to them and it's not understanding how it could be valuable to them, that's bad. You'll always fail then. You can't understand, even when it's a tough life lesson or something bad happens, or like, you know, if you really mess up a tattoo and it's like you're hurting and it's like, well, you can look at that as horrible and you want to quit, or you could look at it as inspiration, and I will never
I'm
do
never
this
doing
again.
that again.
And
Yeah.
I will hunt down as much information as I need to
Don't
make
worry,
sure that
you're
that
gonna
never
feel
happens.
both things at the same time.
Yeah.
But the
Well,
worst is, like,
I will.
You're gonna.
You know
Oh
what
no,
I mean?
sure that
everyone
happens
does.
to, like, some of these young tattoo artists that start their own places.
Yeah.
But then they don't have anyone there to tell them what they did wrong,
Dude.
or make them really feel bad about it. And what I mean by that is, because one of my favorite things to say is, if you can't make someone feel bad about something, they're never going to get better. Like, they'll just keep, it was their fault, or something else. It was their skin, it was this thing.
Yeah.
If you can't make someone feel bad about something, they're not going to improve. And so, like, I would have it where if I was a young tattooer and I fucked up someone's tattoo, I would want someone to scold me but be informative.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, you fucked it up. Okay, I'm sorry. How did I fuck it up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would still be feeling
like shit over it, but I would want that information available.
One of the most frustrating part of that exact scenario is that, and this is especially applicable to line work when you're starting out, and line work still is this Ouija board type thing where you're like, whoa, well, I know it's not good. What do I have to do?
That's clear.
You can
see it's terrible.
You kind of have to do better.
Yeah.
Like, but what's that mean? No, you just got to be more consistent on your depth.
So sometimes there isn't a secret.
That's right. Sometimes you're like, well, your depth is off and your lines are crooked and shaky,
It's
and
just
you
shit,
just
son.
have to do better next time.
It's just terrible.
Remember how you did it? That way it was wrong.
That's right. If you did it again tomorrow, I bet you'd be better, just because you have that experience now.
While
That's
talking about apprenticeships, there was 2 different shops before this one that I was kind of thinking I would end up being an apprentice piercer for over the years, and then it was just never offered. It was always like, I always felt like I was just about there at one shop, without name dropping. This was back in like 2011, and then they just chose to apprentice this other guy who seemingly had like no real experience, but I think they just liked him better or something. Now, I'm not complaining, because obviously I was making more money than that guy was going to doing that.
That's
Especially then. I was making
Yeah.
good money at that point doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I would have done it if they had asked me. But I always felt like an apprenticeship is hard to ask for. Like, it's hard to go, hey, train me to do this.
But there's no other way to get one.
I know.
Well,
But you're almost
sorta.
you're almost waiting for them to ask you.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Like, sometimes it's pretty obvious. Like, Allie,
Yeah, I guess.
that was like, or
She did.
Terry, or
she didn't message me.
no,
Lee did.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
like, and because like I was seeing what she was doing with art, and Lee and I talked about it, and we're just like, well, she's gonna tattoo. We might
Oh
as
yeah,
well
you
train
brought
her
it to me
right.
first, not even Lee.
Yeah,
Or no,
'Cause-
Lee brought it to me first, and you brought it to me the next day.
I think there's
Yeah.
like this huge confusion.
because Lee and I
Yeah.
talk about this stuff all the time.
I'm
Yeah.
sure if anyone gets to this point in this podcast, there will be people agreeing with me going, yeah, it's really confusing. How do you start an apprenticeship?
Well, okay, so
It's not clear.
I'll give you an example. There's a girl that came in and talked to me, and she brought in her art portfolio, and just to show me kind of what it is, and then
Is that Bailey?
no, it's Cole.
Oh,
Here,
easy.
you keep talking.
Okay.
Or, no, Terry,
Terry's
keep
got
talking.
this.
But she came in and showed me her art portfolio, and I just kind of gave her feedback on what it was, where I thought she could get better, and she needed to get into understanding more about the tattoo industry because
Yeah.
she had no understanding.
That's right.
And it was just like, tattoos seemed cool. I don't want to do art. And okay, but you need to know that you want to do this art.
Yeah.
Oh, good morning. Oh, hey.
So I actually had a girl approach me in a coffee shop, I don't know, last week or week before.
Yeah.
yeah.
This is the only time I've gone and sat in a coffee shop to draw in the last year.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
why
the
would you, right?
Yeah, it's the only one time. I had a couple hours in the afternoon to get some drawing done. And I was like, I know how to focus and not listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Is to go put my head down at this coffee shop. And sure enough, I'm in there for like 5 seconds before a girl pops over. Hey, I heard you're a tattoo artist. Here's what I want to know. And she was like super courteous, super chill, and asked like, how do I go about getting a tattoo apprenticeship? When I grow up, that's what I want to do. And like, she's 25, so it's a joke. When I grow up, I want to do that.
Yeah.
It was,
It's half jokingly.
yeah. But moral of the story, so I kind of laid out to her what she's got to do as far as portfolio, and then actually going and talking to shops.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a leg in the industry, if you don't know people in the industry, you do literally have to get your portfolio together
Yep.
and walk into tattoo shops and be like, hey, here's what I'm thinking.
To be honest, what I would say is walk into tattoo shop.
Yeah.
You need to have one that
Well,
resonates with you.
that's
I don't
what-
think it's just go anywhere. I think you need to pursue.
That's the mistake I made, obviously. So I told her that
Yeah, the low-hanging
don't just go to
fruit
any
will
random
always
shop.
take you.
Go to the best shop you can think of.
Yeah.
Go to the best one and go repeatedly. Keep,
Pestering.
unless they say no, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But keep asking.
At
show
what
them
point
your
is it like,
persistence.
all right, pal, you've been told no. Now you're risking an ass kicking. You know
Well,
what I
that's when-
like?
well,
that's how it used to be.
That's when you go to the next shop.
Well,
You
okay,
get-
so they're
you
either
wake
gonna
up in a dumpster or something.
they're gonna either kick you with their vernacular in a way that makes you never want to go into that
Yeah.
place ever again, or they're going to give you constructive criticism.
Yeah, or homework.
Yeah. Which is what I gave her.
Yeah, most shops will give you homework.
I gave her homework, and she's been back and forth with me on email a number of times, and I've been honest with her that, like, hey, our spots are full, but, you know, that won't be true forever. So it's like, hey, if you really want to do this, then just show that you have the persistence that this is something that you'll do. And that's one of the reasons that when this was coming around, it was like, oh, no, that's what she's going to do. We should probably be the ones to train her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that.
Or someone else will gobble her up anyway.
Yeah, and then who knows what happens with her direction within this industry.
Well, there's a whole lot of ways it could go wrong in this town.
Oh, man.
There's endless possibilities for bad
Yeah.
There really
outcome.
is.
Yeah, and everybody's going to
that's-
tell you the
It sounds
best.
funny, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like there's any number of bad things that could happen.
Yeah.
Like from sleazy, disgusting things to just bad practices.
I really wish that I had gotten Instagram before I started hunting for an apprenticeship. So I didn't even know. I didn't even know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know what Instagram was. Like,
man.
I'm so anti-social media that I was Google Mapsing tattoo shops to go apply at.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I had no idea that
that
Instagram
would
was the
actually,
thing.
because the ones that
I
are
had no
doing
clue.
Instagram and showing competent work and clean environments,
Start there.
they're going to be on Instagram and showing up on Instagram
Yeah.
rather than your local
No, I didn't
dive
even-
shop that still doesn't believe in the internet.
Yeah, and has been there for 30 years, and therefore it's at the top of the stream.
I
Like,
don't
I've never
need
had
that
Instagram
shit.
before, and I was just like wandering around Lethbridge, going and Calgary, going. I'm looking for an apprenticeship.
Most high-end shops, even if the artists themselves aren't running their own social media, they will have a social
everyone's
media
got one
presence.
now.
Yeah.
High, low, whatever.
Yeah, but
if I had Instagram,
even
I
if
could
there's
have
like
gone
a-
on and looked at the quality of the tattoos coming out.
yeah, and been like, oh, well, I guess I don't go there.
Yeah.
Whoopsies.
See, I always, especially years ago, I was always keeping an eye on what was around. Like, always keeping tabs on all the different shops. And just because it's like I was perspective and collecting and all different styles then. Now it's like I don't really look.
Which in retrospect is silly.
Yeah, well, it is. But, collecting is, I want this in this style. I want
I mean,
this
those
in
things
this.
are still there. They're just buried deep.
That's right.
Anyway,
Collection's there.
Still a part of
so yeah, obviously social media was a part of that,
Yeah.
keeping tabs on different artists coming and going. And that's a good way to spot guest artists coming in too. Because a
Yeah.
lot of times a guest artist could be here 2 weeks, and if you're not paying attention to social media, you're going to miss that. And they might
yeah.
have had a really cool, unique style, right?
Yep.
So even if you're not like on there to engage with it continuously all day, it's something to keep your eyes peeled
Yep.
for. Because you never know who's coming through, right?
Well, I remember there was when there's a guy that works down the street here, and he was cruising through Instagram, and we had Katarina here. And he was just like, man, I'm looking to get a tattoo, blah, 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 blah. And he was just scrolling through, and he saw Katarina was here, guest spot, booked in a thing, and did a sleeve with her. And he was
wow.
just like, man, if I hadn't have been on Instagram that day,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But to get back to
He did a sleeve during her guest spot.
Yeah.
So there's like a couple big days back to back,
Oh,
or
yeah.
several big days back to back.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was tough. I don't think it was a full. I think it was 3/4.
Yeah, yeah.
But still, yeah, he sat a lot.
Incredible.
And there was a couple people that were like that. There was this husband and wife that, man, he did a full sleeve with her within a few weeks, and it was like that poor guy
is a
sat for.
workhorse.
Oh yeah, that poor guy sat through 4 9-hour days, and it was not easy work.
That's how you get a sleeve, though.
Yeah.
That's the best way.
Well, it's not the best way, I don't think.
no,
but that's a
but
rush way.
I think the way to do it is
Roman
when
had
someone's
those
only
too.
here for so long.
Yeah, Roman had 3 or 4 sleeves, full sleeves, while he was here for 4 weeks. And it was one of those, like, these poor guys. Like, there was one guy that I swear he was
Normal
going
isn't
to...
cheap.
Well, at least
No, and he didn't
sleeve, though.
speak to
But-
them.
But at least it's a sleeve. Yeah,
He
had
did a
his
full
headphones
sleeve
in
with
the whole
people...
day.
He did a full sleeve with people that he never said 2 words to.
Yeah, he was really antisocial, huh?
Well, okay, so he does speak some English.
Yeah.
But he would
He
say...
had a woman here that did most of his management.
Yeah, so that's his wife.
Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
know. Like they
Leah.
never spoke. Everyone else spoke to me. Except
Leah's
them.
awesome. Like I still like I'll still chat with both of them. They're great. But like Leah is a high-end photographer. She's a photographer for Vogue. And so she comes from the fashion world. So her resting bitch face is better than anyone I've ever
Oh,
met.
for sure.
Like it took me forever to get on
She
like
had
a
an
friend
air
level.
of "Don't talk to me" about her.
She like we were driving around one day and she's just like, "I'm sorry, I have to be a bitch in my job. Otherwise, no one respect me." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then now we're like sending cat videos and shit. But it's like, Yeah, he is very. He doesn't want to talk to people.
That's
He's very
fair. I get it.
antisocial. So he brought her because they were going to go vacationing afterwards, basically.
Yeah,
and she was doing the translation, but he
when
does
I
speak
see
English.
arrangements like that, it always reminds me of like old school wrestling,
Yeah.
where it's like you had the
Tag
big
team?
evil Hoss or something,
Yeah.
and he's just in the background like, oh, and he's got the mouthpiece on
He's
the
the
mic for him.
Well, who was the other guy? Not the Undertaker. The guy
Paul
that wore the
Bearer.
mask.
No, Kane.
Kane. Yeah.
Kane, yeah, he's Kane, and then there's Paul Bearer.
Yeah.
Oh, my Undertaker!
Yeah,
you know, like
exactly.
doing all the talking for them.
Yeah.
And they're just looking menacing in the background.
Yeah.
That's what I think of when I see. I can't help it.
That's
It's
hilarious.
just always my comparison when I see those arrangements.
But yeah,
You've
I mean-
got like the talent, and then you've got the mouthpiece, right?
Roman was unique though because like his stuff healed perfectly.
Yeah.
Even though he was crushing those 9-hour days, like man, stuff just healed perfectly. He was a robot.
At least it's sleeves.
Room temperature water.
Like we're talking sleeves. I would be okay with doing sleeves.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to be doing torsos
Yeah.
in that amount of time.
No.
Like that's
That's
way
terrifying.
different.
Leaning over somebody for 9 hours.
But like it's way different to sit for.
Yeah.
That too.
It's
Way more
like we
intense.
did 4.5 hour. Me and Rick did that 4.5 hour lining day on all the tentacles, the first one.
Ugh, that's
And,
so
like,
gross.
It
4.5 hours of
but
lines.
It wasn't that painful necessarily,
Well,
but my
you got
body
lucky
was.
that you're moving around.
Yeah.
My body was.
You at least got to do this and get
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Do this and get out. Do this and get out.
But like my body was definitely going into some form of shock.
Oh, yeah.
I was mentally perfectly fine, but when we were taking that video, I didn't realize how
You were
much I was
shaking.
shaking.
Yeah.
And like that's all people would comment on. Oh, you must have been cold or something. Oh, like why'd they have him outside? I'm like, I was in some form of shock because
Yeah.
it's a lot of lining for that amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's not on your arm. Like I always said, when you're getting your arm or your hand or something tattooed, it's like you can just kind of leave it there and be away from it.
Yeah.
But when it's on your core,
Yeah, it's in there. It's with
No
you.
getting away.
it's with you. You're
Yeah.
there for it. you
Even
know?
like on the legs, you can kind of like move.
Yeah,
away from
yeah,
it.
you get distance from
Yep.
it. That's how I was able to survive almost all of the leg blackouts.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't because they were all painless. It's like there's some degree of separation
Yeah, yeah.
between you and your limb, where you can just kind of like, I'm not there right now. I'll come back to that later. Rick's got that right now.
That's right.
He's handling that right now. I'll let him do his thing.
Yeah.
You know, you don't
Limb
get
is
that.
occupied.
Yeah.
You don't get that when it's right up on you.
No, it's right in your face,
But
especially if it's in your throat.
oh yeah, that's a tough one.
No getting away from that.
Yeah.
Um,
You ever get there?
My throat?
Yeah.
Maybe. Once my parents are dead.
Yeah, I guess
Once
that's
my
a-
parents are dead, hurry up, parents! No. When I hear those things, I always think that like people are just waiting for their parents to die to do these kinds of interesting things.
Isn't it weird though?
Well,
course.
it's a matter of I have to do a values calculation within myself.
Yeah, of
right.
course.
Not of them. I know where their values lie, and my values are how do I show them love and respect, despite their values and mine being super different.
Yeah.
Right. And one of those ways are just by pulling a few of the punches. Right. Like I still have to go live my life, but that's something that's super not fundamental to me living my life. Like
Just depends on what's valuable to you.
getting skulls and Satanist tattoos on my hand and getting a big jagged jaw with blood dripping off of it on my throat, even if that was super important to me, it's not a deal breaker.
Yeah, of course.
It's not something that I would jeopardize my relationship with my parents for.
Yeah.
Right? And I know where their values lie. I know they're not bloody likely to change. So pull a few of the punches.
Yeah.
I will say
I didn't do that.
to get back to before we wrap this up,
Yeah.
an earlier point about the
Kardashians. Okay, cool.
the piercing thing. No, I don't want to get into that today. We'll start on that another time.
Well, then
Because
it'll
I got a lot to say on the Kardashians. Actually,
It'll be out of the ethos at
If
that
if
point.
you had started with me, I actually might have started on something like that.
Okay.
But Scott had the floor today.
That's right.
What I wanted to say about the piercing apprenticeship thing and being
Psychedelics.
looked over in that case was like, if they had gone with me, it would have been a better choice for
Yeah, of
them
course.
by far, especially in the long run. Like they didn't know what I was going to become, obviously.
It would have been worse for you.
Yeah.
Like, people really don't understand until they're in this type of a thing as to what piercings are. Like, the piercing clientele is very difficult. They're entirely impulse-based, and it's transient traffic. Like, if you're trying to make... And this is one of the big issues that I've seen within the piercing community is that to try and create stability within your business is really difficult.
It's up and down, up and down. It's
Yeah.
not the same as you get one tattoo, you get another, you get another. That's why the guy who did most of my piercings quit piercing, because he
Yeah.
was like, there aren't 20 Jeremys in this city.
No.
There's one. There's one guy who's coming back all the time.
Yeah.
And eventually even you are going to have your fill.
Yep.
And
And
he
what-
wasn't wrong.
What
Yeah.
you'll find that'll drive you crazy in piercing, especially, is that you're always coaching new people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're- it's constant newbies.
Sure. Once a week, you've got someone who either has never been tattooed before or only has a couple small ones. At least once a week, you've got that.
Yeah.
But 3 days a week, you've got someone who's a vet.
Yeah.
Right? 3 days a week, you got someone who's been getting tattooed for
Yeah.
years or has
Slow cap on
enough
piercings.
experience to matter.
I
now,
also thought
I've
that.
had more tattoos than piercings. At
Yeah.
one point, that wasn't true.
Yep.
There's no way I will ever catch up in piercings.
No. Well, I mean,
That being said, I've stretched and done all kinds
put
of
that to
different
the
things.
test.
Like, I've definitely taken my piercings to a different level,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
But there's only going to be a handful of those people in Canada, really.
Yeah.
Have you thought of getting a fistula?
No. No, not for me.
No. It'd make eating easier.
It would.
One of the things that I always thought with piercing though is like it's too cheap. Like the barrier to entry is too low. Like when you're dealing with something that like because when you're gonna do a cartilage piercing, what is the healing on a cartilage piercing?
Yeah.
Months.
Yeah.
Months of potential issues.
Cartilage piercings are always a nightmare. Like,
And you're going to deal with someone that just had $50 and wanted to get it because their friend had it or because they saw someone on Instagram or TikTok have it. And then you're going to be dealing with them for months as they constantly ruin it.
And this
Yeah.
person who can't even like keep track of the normal crap in their life
Mm-hmm.
is like, oh, I'll just use some saline, I'll get it, I'll use some salt water and I'll.
Yeah.
No, you're not, honey.
that's the
Yeah.
exact
I keep
voice,
spinning
too.
it. Should be
Yeah.
fine. What?
Don't spin it.
But this is one of those things where it's like
It.
you're dealing with people that have a very low investment, whereas like say you're custom jewelry and you're stretching and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
High cost.
There's almost nothing I wear that isn't designed for me anymore.
Exactly.
Like,
And it's all at a point where like you've done the financial investment to make it important enough to you to look after correctly.
Yeah.
And there's a majority of people that have put too little into it in order to look after it for the length of time that we are requiring them to look after it.
This
Do you think
lip
if Jeremy
piece
was
that I'm
piercing?
wearing.
Sorry, this is a very short point. You
Sure.
think if Jeremy was piercing, we'd have people driving from Calgary to get pierced?
Yeah,
Especially
would.
Especially if we had a higher price point?
100%.
You'd have
Yeah.
You'd have to have a
sure.
higher price point.
Yeah, to get them from Calgary.
No, not necessarily, because there is the one thing. If you're in the piercing world, you do know about tribal expression.
Yeah.
Tribal expression
Yeah. Of course,
is
I've been
the,
there.
the cutting edge of piercing within Alberta. Correct.
Yeah, I've had work done there.
Yeah. So
Okay.
he's a good example of
Fair.
that. So it's not necessarily that.
It wasn't even that I wanted to, I needed to.
Yeah.
They were the only ones offering the service I went for.
Yeah.
Fair.
So if all of a sudden he starts offering services that are comparable or in the same vein as them, you'll start to draw those types of businesses away from them. I think what you'd probably get is more stretching people, more people that want to go on a journey with a piercer, and rather than being kind of one of. Whereas like if you're in with just Jeremy, he's the guy that does it here.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you're buying into more the here of it.
Yeah, the culture.
Yeah, because like tribal expression, who's the one you'd go see?
Well, I don't know anymore, but it's very. It is the place that you go to.
Yes, and
I
that's
don't
the
know
thing.
the people there.
It's the place. It's not the person.
I don't know now. I can't
Whereas
think of a
Jeremy
name.
would be the person.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, because like I don't know the names of even the person that did the procedure that I got done.
Yeah,
It was very, very sterile, and there was almost no personality in that building.
yeah.
It was very cold in there, which
Yeah.
is fine.
But-
It was very
Whereas like what I
professional.
would say is you say like a standard price.
It's almost like a doctor's office, really.
Yeah. But if you take a regular piercing and you go from like $50 and you make it 100, and then all of a sudden that 100, you're committing some time with that person.
Yep.
You can do less piercings in a day, but hey, just so you know, we're going to have to sit down and talk because this is going to be a back and forth. You are my client now. We have to do
what
this
do you
journey
want from
together.
this piercing?
It's just like when I do laser on people, I do a follow-up call.
Yeah.
Like, because I am in a journey with them to make sure that their tattoo is okay.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, it's just one of those, like, I want to make sure that they're doing what I told them to do, because I do not want them having some bad experience because they didn't listen to me.
Yeah.
And then it coming back on me saying that I did something wrong.
Here's something that happened way
I
back
physically can't.
2003 when I got my labrae done. The guy who did most of my piercings. Even far back as 2003, he said, "Are you ever planning on stretching that?"
Yep.
Because it will affect the way I want to pierce it. And I was like, "Oh, we'll definitely leave it open. I don't know that I ever will, but I would rather it be pierced at a place where I could potentially
knowing me,
maybe."
probably gonna
Well,
get
even
stretched.
then, like, I already had a stretched ear. I only had
Yeah.
one of them stretched.
Yeah.
But I was stretching this even back then. So it was like, yeah, well, let's be safe. And same thing with my septum, too. That was pierced at a place where if I wanted to stretch it, it would be easier to do so. But these are the kinds of conversations that you will have if you're a bit of a figure in the community,
Yep.
rather than just someone who's like, here's your piercing, get out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get you in
Which
and
is
out as quickly as possible.
Which is more what tribal expression was. Not to say they didn't do their due diligence, because they did. It was all very well handled, but there was no small talk at all of any kind.
Yep.
Here's your piercing. Here's the cost. Bye.
One of my favorite things was, like, when we were doing higher end piercing stuff, it was the consult. Because you'd have, like, Jane would meet with people and would discuss, say, like, curated ears and things like
Yeah,
that, where it's
ear
like, we're
projects.
gonna design a look for you. It's the same process. It's an art at that point in time. It's not just like, hey, can you stick something through my nose real quick? Like, it had more gravitas to it than, and then those people, you never see healing issues with those people because they listen. They care. They've invested time and money. It's not just like bam, bam, bam.
There's actually a parallel with tattooing. As soon as a client starts to have too many very specific ideas where they're like, yeah, I want a star here, and then I want a moon here, and then I want it to point here. As soon as that starts happening.
And I need all these birth dates.
Yeah, exactly. I need all these birth dates, the butterflies and the things, and then there's going to be a one patch of blue and a patch of red and a patch of this.
Yeah.
As soon as that starts happening, suddenly we're going, oh, we're not curating anything like you're saying. We're just kind of putting on the things that you think you want.
Stickers.
Yeah, we're giving you. You want me to take a bunch of your stickers and do exactly your stickers, but then make it good somehow.
Yep.
But you've already told me exactly what you
They're
want.
turning you
and it's
out.
terrible.
They're turning you from an artist to a technician at
Yeah,
that point.
you're a
That's
printer.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I had one of those a couple
But
weeks
this
ago.
is an
and it was a
argument
wild
that
time.
happens all the time in the piercing community, strangely enough. Is it an art form or is it a technical, like
It's like
surgery?
with anything. It's both.
Yeah, but
With every art form, there's technique.
and same with oil painting.
Yeah.
Like I'm
But when
Exactly.
you do curated ears and like making the flow work and
Yep.
things like that, that's where you get more into the artistic part of it.
Yep.
Whereas
But if you
you're
pierce
just-
it wrong,
Yeah.
your technique suffered.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good of a design you did.
yeah, exactly.
Ah, shit, I picked the wrong ear.
you
Yeah,
could
that
have
doesn't mean-
you could have 19 technically well executed tattoos on an arm and it could look awful.
Yes, 100%.
Well, this
I've
looks like
seen
shit,
it.
but it's all in there though, and I'm signing off on it.
He's explaining his own arm.
I did, yeah. That was my right arm, the no arm.
You no.
And yet people still looked at it like, wow, that's cool. Oh, yeah? Tell me what any of that is. You tell me what that is. I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't even know.
That's
It's on me and I don't know.
That's what
Fire
saves
and
my
weird
leg.
shit.
Is I've got some Star Wars stuff on there. So people are like, oh, I love your Star Wars tattoos. It's like, good work. You went
Yeah.
beyond cool. You have tattoos.
Yeah.
You
picked
made it
one.
one step
Yeah.
further.
Yeah.
It's not just generic tattoo leg.
That's right.
It's
I mean,
Star Wars flavor.
It is, but there's also a flavor.
Yeah, it's flavored Star Wars.
Yeah. My right arm was just generic tattoo
there's
arm.
also a tribal sun and some script. It's
Just like
great.
Star Wars.
I
Yeah.
had a sun tattoo. I had the sun with the face.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the Mr. Moon tattoo.
Oh, good.
I had all kinds of Hallmark tattoos.
Ah, jeez.
Well, you got to get the classics in there.
Yeah, I had plenty of the classics.
That's why,
Play the hits, man.
that's why it's just like I've got my skull leg
Yeah.
because nobody's mad about a skull.
Everybody likes skulls.
Yeah.
Plus, skulls can be very different. Skull to
Oh, yeah.
skull. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Even
Lots
right
of different
now,
styles.
we all have different skull tattoos.
Yeah. Well,
right?
hopefully.
I'm sure you have a skull. Do you have a skull?
This is my only skull.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Of course you do. Of course you have a skull.
Of course.
Yeah.
Who would-
I'm not even.
who
I'm not a
wouldn't?
skull guy.
Who's
but I was
had
like,
any
what do I
amount
do
of
instead?
tattooing
How about a bird skull?
Doesn't have
Yeah.
some skull somewhere.
Yeah.
I think that's
Well,
that's the
you?
only one though.
Skulls.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Well, shit.
I've had so many skulls.
Damn it. Yeah.
Like I have an unreal amount of skulls on me.
Yeah. That's like my life is like
I've got skulls on my back too.
you're a helmet guy.
Yeah, I've got a Stormtrooper, Boba Fett, Darth Vader.
Spartan's got a helmet on him.
Helmets. Spartan. Oh yeah, Spartan has a helmet.
Yep.
Helmets.
doing it.
I don't know if I've done helmets. Oh, I have had helmets. I have a helmet on my
You got
leg.
the king of whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got the
whatever. Yeah, I got the Witch King, and I
Witch
had
King, there we
another
go.
Witch King
King of
tattoo
whatever.
too. I had
Two
the
Witch King tattoos.
I had the Witch King on, and then
I
I
don't
have
know who
the
that's
the Mouth of Sauron as well.
Yeah. You've even had a
That's what
cape.
I'm thinking of.
Yep. I've had all kinds of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
And now you have tentacles.
Tentacles and eyes and all kinds of spooky
all the
stuff.
crazy spookies.
Yeah. We're gonna add some more spookies today.
Yay! I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. Now it's like every tattoo appointment, I feel like a kid on Christmas. It's like you're getting presents again.
Yeah.
I've been used to getting
It's
rid
all
of
a secret.
presents.
You have no idea, which is the hilarious part of it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, you know,
Well-
the idea. I asked for these things on my list. Let's see if Santa nailed it.
Yeah, really.
And of course, Rick is Santa.
But
So
Let's dye his beard.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
getting there, man. Just give it a year or two.
That's right.
what is he like, alt-right Santa?
He is alt-right Santa.
You've heard that bad Santa.
I don't give you what you
This
asked for. I give you what you deserve.
This is alt-right Santa.
Flat
Shut
earther.
up and take it.
Flat Earth
Flat
Santa.
Earth
He doesn't come from the North
Flat
Pole.
Earth
Yeah.
He comes from the North Edge.
Yeah, north. He comes outside of the other disc.
He comes from the north edge.
Yeah.
That's fucking great.
Yeah, that's how he gets all of his deliveries done because there's no globe.
That's right.
What are his reindeers?
If he goes around the
They're
edge,
drunk.
he
I
goes
can tell you
back.
that.
Drunk. I know they're drunk.
That red nose
Zombie
doesn't come from nowhere.
reindeers. There's zombie reindeers that are intoxicated.
Yeah, yeah.
God,
Yeah.
it's good. The north edge.
Yeah, that's
love
so funny. And it's so accurate. Alt-right Santa is hilarious.
Can we make him a sign?
Yeah.
We should edit a photo of Santa with like some face tattoos
And an AR.
and an AR. Okay, I'm gonna stop now.
Yeah.
I don't think we go any farther into this.
I'm
We've
like,
been
wait,
keeping it pretty
Yeah,
good.
we were fine on this one.
There's a list of things in my head scrolling I can say next. I'm like, no.
Yeah,
No, I'm not
I
saying
know.
anything. I'm done now.
It's like your internal teleprompter. You're just like, no, redacted.
Yeah.
Redacted.
Yeah, no, we can't talk about this. Stop talking about alt-right Santa.
Yeah.
But,
It's a great idea, though.
Yeah, I know, it's a strange feeling to be adding things now.
Yeah.
Like, I can't talk about it enough, like, how different it is. Because it's like, no, it's not different, really. Because, like, I never said, oh, I just want to black things out because I love blacking out. It was like, no, I want to keep going.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I want to make something because I like getting tattooed. That's all. And so now adding things isn't... Because some people think that it's now gone counter to my philosophy. But I don't think so, because it's still the same philosophy. I'm
Yeah.
just doing more tattooing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't stop. What a shock. I didn't stop last
I'm Remy.
time.
I like getting tattooed, and I'm gonna keep doing that.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy.
He's still getting tattooed. That's counter
how,
his
no, how
philosophy.
dare he?
People have said, like, oh, your Blackout project has lost value now because you're adding new images to it. It's like, no, how is that any different?
You're like,
That's-
nope, same
How
journey.
the hell is that any different? It's
Man,
the same thing.
People have the road trip mentality of like, we need to get to our destination.
I know.
You're on a road
and
trip.
they continually keep coming to that conclusion with me where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now you're finished. I
Like,
had one
well,
person...
people can't.
Why haven't you stopped, and why haven't you done your palms
Well, I
yet?
had one person message me
Yeah,
the
why
last...
haven't you blacked out your palms?
when I was doing the videos of my right inner thigh, and that was kind of the finish line for the black suit.
Yeah.
The person was like, "It's been an honor to watch your journey. I'm sad that it's over." It's like, you're sad that it's over. Who said it was over?
Yeah.
I got shit to do still.
Quit
Yeah.
projecting your shit on me.
Well, at that point, I was
right.
still... I needed to fix up my arms again and all this other stuff up here before I even got to the black on black stuff. It's like, no one said that. No, literally no one ever said that.
People
I
are-
am retiring from tattooing.
People are
and
too
then I
used to the
vanished.
movie arc. People
Yeah,
are like,
of course.
once he's
Yeah.
done this project, he's either going to live happily ever after or get hit by a fucking bus.
Yeah.
I
That's
just
it.
said
Those are the
it.
only
has
two
to stop.
options here.
I
The movie has to
said it
stop.
in
The movie's
my,
over now.
We
I
need
thought.
credits.
My
Credits roll,
recent
please.
vlog, I said, like my last vlog, I was like, when I got to the end of the first one, it's almost like a midlife crisis because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I did it. Now what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? Well, you don't stop living. So why should you stop doing the things you love?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't make sense.
Mm-mm.
And now
Not
I'm not
in the
that
least.
much older than I was then.
Yeah.
And it's the end of the second part, and it's like, what do you do? Get a new hobby?
Remy's bodysuit part 2.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, people just need to grow up and realize that life continues.
Yeah.
And people evolve and things change. and all
also,
those
we need to
things.
stop listening to dumb people.
Oh, that would be helpful. But then who's
That's
going to listen to
most
us?
people.
Oh!
Yeah, not that kind of dumb.
Okay.
I mean people who just have no concept what they're even saying.
Yeah.
Well,
The-
people like to assign their values to you.
It's kind of that whole like
Projection.
principle where like you don't have to literally never read your comments, but like still have the mindset of I don't read my comments. I browse them sometimes, but I don't read my comments. That
Oh
kind of
man,
shit,
if they
right?
had the
It's
effect on
mentality.
me that they seem to have the effect on a lot of people,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would never leave my house again.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Even any of those pictures that I shared yesterday, Paige's posting of me, within any one of those, there was so much hateful rhetoric against me, against what I'm doing, from every angle.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to map that onto my daily life, you
Oh,
would never
man.
see me again. I would
Yeah.
be in my basement hiding and trying to scrape my tattoos off or something.
Yeah.
Cheese grater time.
Because like there's no daylight there.
I mean, that's just scarification then. In
Yeah.
which case, he's still within the industry. So
That's
it's
right.
Fine.
Fair.
It's fine.
I'm
But
practicing.
that
He's in
time
my-
you have changed lanes.
Yeah, totally.
If you move from tattooing to the
Scarification.
classic, rusty saw method, you've definitely changed lanes.
Or you're in some sort of saw-related trap, and you just need to get free.
Ooh, let's make a real escape room.
I don't want to go.
I
to
don't think
prison.
that's one of our better ideas. But on that note, I
This
think
is a
we
good
should
idea.
probably call it
That
a
seems
day.
fair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
okay.
we're getting into the weeds.
Let's end it. Psychedelics.
Psychedelic.